Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica, Imperialis and to today's video. Today is episode 41 of Adeptus Podcastus, and joining me as always we have Remlays from 40k Theories.
Hello everyone.
And Ego Queen Alexis.
Yo.
And I'm very happy because I get the episode after Adepticon. When?
Yeah, but you didn't go to Adepticon.
Well, yes, I live on the other side, pretty much the other side of the world.
That didn't stop other people.
And I have a uni thing to do.
Excuses. I'm just messing with you, obviously.
But yes, Adepticon happened, and I've made a video separately on it. I'm pretty sure everyone and their mother in the YouTube community pretty much has made a video on it.
I have like 7-8 videos coming out still about it.
Yeah, I had just had the one where we talked about the studio preview, because that had plenty going in and of itself. Not
Plastic
just for
Sisters. Plastic Sisters. No one cares about anything else. Plastic Sisters.
The Internet Deakin will disagree with you, but this is a 40k podcast, so anyway. Yes, Plastic Sisters of Battle pretty much confirmed.
No, they were confirmed.
Okay, confirmed for at some point in 2019.
December.
They said 2019.
Yep, December.
So December 2019 then.
Quite possibly. I can't
Okay.
wait. I'm sorry. I'm excited.
Don't blame you for being excited. I completely do not blame you. Like, it's been 20 years in the making.
They were the first army I ever wanted to collect, but they were so expensive, I passed up on them and got Space Marines instead. And now I get to expand my Sisters of Battle even more. Right now, I'm sitting at a good 10,000 points. Well, not 10,000. I'm sitting at about 6,000 points of them. So doubling that is going to be awesome.
The question I have regarding Sisters, though, is it going to be a sort of redoing the models that exist, or is it going to be like, the Dark Eldar got in 5th edition, where they basically rebooted the entire range and added a hell of a load of new stuff?
So from what I gathered, because I was talking with all of the developers and people that were there, I also did a really nice interview with them. It's really lovely. Anyway, after talking with all of them and getting as much information as I possibly could, it essentially came down to the Sisters of Battle aesthetic is not changing. They are still going to be running around in their boob plates with their giant chain swords and looking gothic and amazing.
They are still the Sisters of Battle.
Yes. They are adding a bunch of new things. I actually made a video about this. Insert plug here, where you should totally check it out. Anyway, they did mention a bunch of new stuff in the fluff that they have, i.e. Thunderhawks and Landspeeders. And this can be found in the Sister of Battle Omnibus, the last story in it. I can't remember what the story is called, but they already have that stuff in the lore, so it would make sense for them to have it on the tabletop. I would also like to see some new variants of existing units and better weapons and a little bit of their fluff actually explained, like how do they actually have all of these weaponry, even though it's pretty much explained with making deals with the Ecclesiarchy and the Mechanicus, even though they hate each other. But at the same time, that's not good enough for me. I want more.
Yeah, that isn't that the case for every 40k lore person ever? We just want more.
I'm pretty sure I want more just because I'm Slaaneshi, but yes.
Either way, whether for the same reasons or not, I sympathize with the logic of wanting more stuff. But Plastic Sisters, whilst being the headline grabber of Adepticon, almost no doubt in terms of reveals, was not the only thing to come out, because of course we have 3 new codices coming our way. The Drukhari are going to be on pre-order at the time of this video coming out. So next in line will be the Imperial Knights.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit interesting. I'm hoping they put the baby knight inside it, and I'm really hoping they put the new knights inside it. And I know this is stretching, but I'm hoping the castigator is in there. But I doubt he's going to be.
Well, if it's knight something, well, if we look at the Custodians as probably the best example
of a 25% of a codex.
More in that they were an army that had some Forge World stuff and not much of a codex from the previous edition. So if the Knights get the Custodian treatment, where they get a couple of units that are brand new, and then they nick a couple units of Forge World stuff, then broadly you have an army.
Just letting you know, the Forge World Custodian stuff is not in the codex.
Oh yeah, crap.
That's why I always say it's 25% of a codex, because the first thing they cut out was the Sisters of Silence. And then
that's a separate army that doesn't count.
I say it does count because of how close they are and how they're listed in the Imperial Index on the front cover as the Talons of the Emperor.
They still had separate codices in 7th edition, though.
Yeah, most people in the tabletop community feel ripped off with that codex.
Perhaps, but it does open up the door for a better Sisters of Silence codex later. It's a but.
Yeah, but that's also another $40 out of my pocket for 25%, well, 50% of a codex, which is still going to be minus the Forge World units.
We'll see what trend the Knight Codex sets as well, because if the Knight Codex gets the Armored Warglaives, which it almost certainly will, since they're not in any other codex, and then it gets whatever they're going to nickname the baby Warlord Titan, then that maybe if they get the Castigator would probably round off the codex. I don't think the actual core Knight box is going to see anything added to it.
No, the Knight box itself is probably not going to see anything in it, but I would like to see the Lancer, the Galleons, and all of the variants of the actual army itself added to the codex, as well as maybe a type of troop choice, if that being even Scions, just so you can stay Battleforge and still be able to grab objectives with them.
You know, I would actually argue that you don't want infantry, because the infantry you'd use, you take from the Tempestus, who have no official link to the Knightly Houses whatsoever. The only Mega Doom Walker faction that has infantry is the Titan Guard of the Titanicus, who are separate from the Questor Imperialis. They have no infantry as part of their household that we're aware of. So I would argue that they shouldn't put infantry in the codex and let the army be what it is on its own, just to stop them being cheap spammed in easy patrol attachments.
The reason I say that they need it is because Knights literally can't win this edition.
Okay, you're saying it for gameplay reasons, I'm saying it for aesthetic reasons. Sounds
well, for aesthetic reasons, they should have Tech Priests and Engine Seers.
Not all of them. Because the Knights, some of them are tied to the Adeptus Terra and some of them are tied to the Mechanicus. It kind of varies.
Yes, but all of them require maintenance.
They managed on their own before the Mechanicum found them the first time.
Still, they have tech units.
Maybe.
And this would be a good way to introduce a new tech unit that isn't actually just a Knight. That isn't actually just Mechanicum, I meant to say.
Plausible.
Still, I just don't want to get gypped with another codex.
It's something to be concerned about. But on the Tales of the Knights, we'll have the Harlequins and the Death Watch, two other very small armies in the grand scheme. Although we do know that Death Watch will be getting Primaris reinforcement and mixed squads.
Yay, mixed squads again. Let the confusing movement phase begin.
And mixed Primaris squads, even. Which is going to be... Actually, it seems like people have said it's going to be mixed normal and Primaris dudes rather than squads of mixed Primaris and squads of mixed normal.
Guess who's gonna die first? I mean, just looking at it from a gameplay perspective, you're gonna put a Primaris Space Marine and a Terminator in each squad if you can. That way you have bullet sponges for your two big guns, which I can never remember the name of them. The heavy bolter, heavy flamer thingamajig. And the grenade launcher thingy.
Yeah, the frag cannon.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the frag cannon last edition was terrifying. I've not really run across it in 8th, but in 7th it was horrible.
In this edition, it's still kind of horrifying, but not really because its points are just way too high to make it useful. But yeah. Overall, it's kind of, well, their army is just bad right now. They're too expensive. They're grossly overcosted.
I sympathize with that.
Yeah, you had to play Tau this edition for a little bit before the Codex.
Yeah, the Tau have got their Codex. We're not going to go into much detail about it because it has been out for a while. We just didn't get much of a chance to discuss it last time. But from what I've gathered, they're mid-tier. From what I've gathered.
Yeah, I could say that. The Tau themselves, they went down in points, but they didn't really get anything better. Their nerfs, which a lot of people think the commander thing was a nerf because a lot of people took Supreme Command attachments of nothing
It's
but
called
commanders.
balance. It's called balance.
Well, I would actually argue it's from a lore perspective now, which is rather amusing. Because from a lore perspective, the Tau are not going to commit 5 commanders and then go, you know what? This battle needs 5 more commanders and only drones.
Yeah, I get that as well, but it like for me,
yeah, it's definitely just balance because 1 commander can put out 36 wounds.
Oh yeah, and like speaking as a Farsight Enclaves player, one thing I was quite often doing was I was running a battalion which was Farsight, a commander, and a Fireblade. I wasn't spamming. I was having one. I wanted Farsight in my army because it's a Farsight Enclaves army. And by the way, Farsight Enclaves look hilarious even if they suck. And then I'd have Chateau Arachon or Commander Brightsword now that the Fusion Blades are back. So now what I'll have to do is run 2 separate detachments to do that. I know it's not a huge deal. It's just something that it's not bad. It's just something that I have to consider when I build my lists. But it's interesting to note for me was looking at the difference between the index and the codex in some places. The Riptide in particular, Jesus God, that thing got buffed in terms of its guns.
Yeah, it did.
So it just makes me wonder, like, I know obviously the indices were not designed to all be perfectly balanced with each other, and the codices were always going to overshadow the indices. But Jesus Christ, some of the indices were woefully underpowered, even compared to each other. Like, if they have to make buffs that increase the power of a gun by 50% and then double its damage on top, like, baseline? Bloody hell.
Also, Remlaze is here.
Right.
I think the dinosaur fell asleep.
Yes.
But out of Adepticon, there was a lot of cool things. If you got a chance to be there, you may have gotten a chance to see me, which would have been cool, but that's not really, really important or anything. There were a ton of games, a ton of big events. GW was actually walking around, their community members were walking around, talking to people, interviewing tournament people, interviewing the Apocalypse people, talking to them about various different things and different ways that they can adjust the game to make it better. Now, one person did bring up a good point that I wanted to talk about. GW is overly listening. It's to the point where every 3 months we might get an FAQ book, which would ultimately make the codexes pointless.
I think that there's supposed to be 2 FAQs a year. One around the time of chapter approved, and then 1 in June. I think that's the official calendar. Because I remember seeing is that every codex comes out, and then there's an FAQ errata every about a week or 2 after that, and then there's 2 mega FAQs a year. Because it makes sense that they stay on top of the game without, like, every 3 months would be micromanaging, but it got to, like, I don't know what the tournament results of Adepticon were, but some things definitely will need to be addressed from the way Adepticon played out, I am sure.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to Pablo about that one in very near future. I didn't actually play in any of the tournaments. I actually didn't know that I was going to be going. We kind of winged it at the last second. So I didn't sign up for anything, but I did get the grab bag and a whole ton of loot. It's awesome. But I did walk around and look at the tournament armies, and they were just beautiful.
As in beautiful aesthetic or beautiful destruction?
Yes, both. There were a lot of Sister to Battle players that I think placed pretty well. So I was happy to see that Sisters of Battle are in tournaments.
Yeah, I do believe it was a very spammy Aeldari Craftworlds mixed something that won.
It's more than likely the list that we saw at LVO, which is 10 Dark Reapers, 2 other squads of 3 Dark Reapers apiece, Yervain, 3 squads of Swooping Hawks, 3 squads of Rangers, and yeah, an Autarch for rerolls.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a dirty list. I love it.
It's the type of list that you would enjoy. It's the type of list that would make me want to go and vomit. But that's fine.
I actually really enjoyed going up against that list because I actually had to face that list in a tournament, and it absolutely demolished my sisters. And I was just like, I'm upset right now, but good job.
Actually, what's interesting is when I was making my Adepticon video, I remarked that the Harlequins are being done solely so that the Aeldari can get done later because they need all the other Aeldari armies ready before the Aeldari get done. And I think perhaps for the first time ever, when the Aeldari Codex or whatever it is comes out, they might actually get nerfed.
The Aeldari themselves don't need the nerf. It's Dark Reapers that need the nerf.
It's just like every codex has seen a substantial buff to most things. Like, for example, with the Necron Codex that came out this weekend, points costs generally have gone down, and a few things have got buffs. Plus, you've got the traits and the stratagems and all of those things. But there may be an argument that if an army that's still in index form is too good, or has the ability to make something too good, it could be proactively nerfed in its codex iteration as opposed to being buffed like everything else and then being nerfed later.
All right, GW, you stay away from my Sisters of Battle. I like them being grossly overpowered and undercosted.
Well, they'll need a complete rework anyway if they get new units, so...
They wouldn't need a rework. The new units would fit in there just fine.
Perhaps. And finally, in terms of new stuff, at the moment, the Drukhari are up on pre-order. We've been looking at their previews this week, and I'm almost ashamed to say it, I kind of want a Drukhari army now.
Yay!
Because the Cabals and the Witch Cults look so fun. I mean, I won't touch the Homunculi with a 10-foot pole because they freak me the hell out. But something about the way the Cabals work and the way the Witch Cults work in the new book is just really rather fun. It just looks fun and feels fun. I don't know. Might just be me.
I'm actually concerned if Remlace is still here.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. I thought we lost you.
Yeah, sorry. I think that's it, like, release-wise from Adepticon. I think. There's the 40k app, but we don't really know much about that, so I think we can move past that for the moment as it comes out.
There's also the baby warlord.
Yeah, because we glossed over that with the Imperial Knights.
There's also rumors of another Primarch coming out
And
for
very
30k.
And very, very salty rumors about orcs, but I've not really looked into them, nor am I putting much stock in them.
Well, we know the vast majority of played codexes, i.e. the more common ones, are going to be done this year. That's just done.
They seem to imply that every codex will be done this year in the post.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because if you're thinking about like most played armies, then why are orcs so far down the list?
Well, orcs are heavily played, but they're just not that good this edition. Right now,
All the
as
more
it
reason
stands.
to fix them then.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Although I think the saltiest of the salty has to go to the wolf players. Like, they must be feeling all of the salt.
Actually, in a way, it might benefit them in the long run to be one of the last Space Marine codexes. This way, we get to see the problems of, like, Ultramarines right now, where they're just too damn powerful. Or we
Pretty
see
much
the problem.
solely because Guilliman, though.
No, retreating and shooting is still ungodly overpowered.
Fair.
Especially when you do it with, like, a Daredeo or a Leviathan.
Yeah.
Because it affects them. And that's mean and nasty, and I love it.
Yeah, like, for the long run, Space Wars being done last of the Astartes is a good thing, but for the next 3 to 6 months, or however long it is until the wars get done, there will be much sodium chloride coming from Fenris and all surrounding corners.
It might start looking like a Magic the Gathering tournament.
Ouch.
Sorry, I had to make the joke.
Yeah. And speaking of the new codexes and things, we've also had some lore developments come out of them. I can't speak for all of them.
Blackstones.
Yes, Forgebane happened. I've seen the box, and I had a read of the little booklet. Admittedly, it was in French in the middle of GW, and I was kind of distracted, but it was an interesting read.
It's just cool to see the Necrons and the Imperium actually fighting over the Blackstones.
It gives another reason for it gives the Necrons a raison d'être, and it gives the Mechanicus something to do.
Yeah.
That's always been the Mechanicus' problem. Like, they've been really cool as a fact. People wanted a Mechanicus army for yonks, and then we got them in 7th. But lore-wise, they never had anything to do.
Hey, they go around collecting stuff.
Yeah.
No, I fully agree with you.
Yeah, like, the quest for knowledge is just this overarching thing for the same reason. Like, it's almost like the Imperium kind of had nothing to do until Gilliman came back. So,
fair point. Well, it is kind of cool to see like the dynamics of arch enemies working out. Like, for instance, back in 7th edition, it was always heavily implied that the orcs were the arch enemy of the Eldar. Fucking Tau. Thank you, brain.
Yes, Orcs and Tau has been the classic rivalry.
The Space Marines have had the Chaos Space Marines. Tyranids had pretty much everybody. Eldar had Necrons originally.
Yeah, Tyranids, I would argue, were probably Guards foil.
Or Ultramarines.
Yeah, maybe, but like Nids versus Guard is one of the ones that I think of as a bit of a classic.
It is. In fact, it's such a classic, a movie was made about it. That's a Starship Troopers reference.
I was started on the process, but I was like, hang on a minute.
Hang on.
I'm not even going to go into the fact that Starship Troopers came out before everything in regards to the book and that.
No. I strictly mean the movie. The movie is more based off of 40K than Starship Troopers. As a fan of Starship Troopers, I can tell you that hands down. The later movies, like 2, 3, 4, and 5, they were good because they actually showed off the power armor and things like that. I like them.
I'm just going to step back and let the fanboys argue for a minute. Yes, so it is interesting to see the whole opposites dynamic playing off, but you could also argue that Orcs and Nids was sort of shifted into focus with Octarius. And then we had it has been interesting to see how it will play out, because where does that leave the Drukhari, for example? Because their classic rival was always the Craft World, and now they can pick that up again because the Necrons have been plonked onto the Mechanicus. Maybe. I don't know. Perhaps.
Well, the Eldar have also had a rival in Slaanesh, obviously.
Yeah, I think they've given that to the Inari in particular, so that like, the other factions can sort of have their own.
The Inari have more to do with, and this is going to sound weird, but they have more to do with, like, it seems, God damn it, Nurgle. Stagnation versus death. Eternity versus, well, death again. I see them as more of a rival to Nurgle than...
There are parallels with Nurgle, perhaps.
Currently, it's Nurgle versus the Ultramarines. More than anything.
Well, I mean... Yeah, but you also have the Inari that went right into Nurgle's garden to get the Flower of Isha.
Yes, I would say the Inari are more like a parallel to Nurgle in the terms of like life after death, reincarnation, and that sort of thing. But their enemy is still Slaanesh, and will always be, because that is their literal raison d'être.
Yeah, French words.
Reason to be, reason to exist.
Sure.
So sometimes French can be quite eloquent for expressing a slightly awkward phrase. But yeah, that's just the thing. And on the Tau front, because I got to look at the Tau codex as well, we got confirmation, though I think we knew it already. The Startide Nexus is basically just a wormhole, and it drove the Fourth Sphere utterly insane, to the point that their crimes were so questionable that the leader of it defected to Farsight just to escape punishment. Which was kind of neat. We also know that Anbar lives on as holograms, though how he gets to fight in the battlefield, I don't know. We also learned that Shadowsun and Farsight are not going to be friends anytime soon. Shadowsun has not exactly forgiven Farsight, and or has just decided he's too dangerous. I forget the exact thing because I was reading it in French in the middle of GW. And we also know Farsight went back to Arthas Moloch for reasons unknown. Went off comms for like 3 days and then came back again, and we don't know what happened after that. Just a few minor developments. There was something else. Sure, there was something else. But I forget what it was.
Yeah, the tower doing things, everybody. I love the tower. They tried so hard to be like relevant to the 40k universe, and it's just like, yeah, they're there.
But the tower have always been one of the. I accuse the Mechanicum of having nothing to do. The tower always have something to do because they're constantly innovating, constantly trying to expand. And the reason they had to do the fourth sphere was, well, actually, I think this was explained in the old like books in seventh, was the Mechanicum literally set the Damocles Gulf on fire.
Yeah, when in doubt, burn it all.
Yeah, they physically cannot get across it because they set the entire Gulf in fire.
We set space on fire. Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Don't
ridiculous.
worry about it. We're 40k. The warp did it.
Aye. What do they call it? Oh, what's the name of the name for the Great Rift is like the Bringer of Sorrow, I think. I forget or something like that. I forget. I need to get this. I need to get the English copy of the Tab Codex at some point, just so I can remember.
It's called Gork's Grin.
I meant in the Tau language, but fine, sure, whatever. It has many names.
I know, but it's still my favorite.
Is there anything else I've missed? I'm trying to think. Oh yes, there was that sketchbook thing.
Yeah, it's a new sketchbook.
I was thinking, Rem, you shared that to us, didn't you? So you probably know more about it than we do.
Yes, basically 2 books and 1 slipcase that has all the artwork from the Aeldari and Drukhari, all the way from Rogue Trader to present day. All the original, all the design sketches.
Yeah, it's got Yanari and Exodites in it, I think, as well.
Yep.
Oh, does it have Croneworlders?
Probably.
For the life of a brain, which is actually quite nice. There might be more little tidbits in there.
I still can't believe that Eldar just turn to crystals when they get old. That is the weirdest thing ever. Their blood can be crystallized, they can be crystallized, their poop is a crystal. It's so weird. By the way, all of that is actually in the lore.
No one said it wasn't. You bring it up so often, I think.
No, I'm saying it strictly because somebody's going to be like, Alexa, stop making things up. And I'm just like, no, that actually comes from, what is her name? Jenzar's book.
Right. I had no reason not to believe you. I know about the whole Crystal Fast Hero Kahari thing.
I just think it's silly.
It's a different way of doing things. I don't know if it's silly. It's an interesting alternate way of doing things because it's sort of because the Eldar were always a race that were extremely long lived and could almost like live forever to some extent or were able to, if you could preserve them, live forever in some weird way.
By sticking their poop on armor. I'm not kidding.
I know, but could you be any less eloquent about it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Spirit stones. Anyway, Eldar poop aside.
Indeed. Is there anything? I could go into a bit. Normally, I'd go over like the full Drukhari release and like all the stuff that's going on with them, but we've sort of moved away from doing that of late. Although there is some very fun stuff in there that is probably worth discussing. I might do that in a stream or my own separate video if we don't want to do it here.
Is there anything actually like lore related that they added to them? Is back?
No, or if he
No
is,
Vex
he's
is mentioned, and that's about
he's
it.
Well, of course, he's going to mention he's in charge of Kimura.
he's not. They haven't shown him being back. There's nothing that relates to him being back in any of the rule previews we've seen. So I find it unlikely if he's coming back. I think the case across the board, like Drukhari has been mentioned by name. Other than that, Urian will stick, Lilith will stick, but beyond that, I don't think we'll get any new models for them at this point. They have only started collecting though. They've reworked it from a Cabal one to a Witch one.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, so it's switched from Carbolites and the stupid-looking Archon when the one with the Soul Trap was way better, and a Raider, to a Succubus, Witches, 3 Reavers, and a Venom.
Ooh.
Which, when you combine with Gangs of Kimura, gives you an amazing Witch Cult army straight out of the box for like 90 quid.
Now, in American currency, that's not that much.
It's probably about 130 tops.
Yeah, I think the Gangs of Kimura was on like $50 here.
Yeah, start collecting probably with what, like $70?
85.
85, yeah, $135 then. And that will give you Succubus, Witch Squad, Venom, 2, maybe 3 squads of Reavers, and a Hellion gang. All you're missing there is a second troop choice. You've got a patrol detachment, or even a straight out the gate, you've got the fast attack detachment, whatever it's called.
Does anybody actually bring a patrol detachment?
The Drukhari are very heavily encouraged to do so, because their main rule is if you take 3 patrol detachments, you gain an additional 3 or 4 command points. Hold on. Because they're like designed to be like raiders, so if you have at least 3 patrol detachments, you get 4 additional command points on top of the 3 you've already got. If you have 6 or more, you get 8 more command points.
Yeah, but no one plays with that many detachments.
But what it also encourages you to do is a stratagem that allows you to have 3 warlords, whilst only having 1 be worth slay the warlord.
That might actually be interesting on the tabletop. I'd have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's something that I've been really thinking about, and I'll probably be discussing it again, is whether you want to play all on Cabal, all on Cult, or all on Coven, or if you want to take advantage of things like Alliance of Agony, which is the name of that stratagem, and properly mix it up. They also have one of the evilest stratagems I've ever seen. 3 command points, roll a d6 after your opponent spends their command points, but before the stratagem activates. On a 1, the stratagem goes 3. On a 2 to 5, cancel the stratagem, but refund the command points. On a 6...
Oh, that's awesome.
On a 6, cancel the stratagem without the refund.
That's going to work really well in a doubles game if I have my sisters a battle. Hey, I'm going to negate that. I'm going to use a command point to actually do a better psychic power. Yeah, I'm going to negate it again.
There is 3 command points just to do that. You can't use it for deployment ones or pre-game ones, and it's only for Cabal of the Black Heart, but it is kind of fun.
Oh, just letting you guys know, in a matched play, the command points that are spent prior to the game, like for deployment, you can just mass spam those.
Well, yeah, because the game hasn't started, so you're not limited on how many you can use.
Exactly. I didn't know about that.
It makes sense when you say it, though I hadn't thought of it.
There we go.
But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in Drukhari, like Witches, their 3 traits are give your entire army +1 strength, or give your entire army +1 attack in the first round of combat. Or perhaps you would like the one where, what was it now? You can run and charge and re-roll your charges.
All of those seem really good.
Yes, particularly when you combine them with the combat drug. So there is a way to have a unit of witches doing 80 attacks like they're orcs.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome.
And they've also been given perma invulns now. So they've actually got the 6+ invuln and then dodges still 4+ in melee. So they've got some seriously fun buffs.
That's actually one thing that I want changed to the Sisters of Battle. I want their 6-up, Invo to be changed to a 6-up ignore damage.
So to work like the death.
Yes, but on 6s.
That's technically making it worse.
It is, but it can also be used against smite and things like that.
That is also true.
Because it's now not one, like, you don't get the one save against a Meltagun, you get the saves against the damage it does.
Yeah, so it will hurt you against regular wounds, but you'll get it against mortals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's an interesting way of doing things.
I don't think that would be too broken, so, although it might be.
It would require playtesting, but that's what playtesting and stuff is for. Speaking of, coming out of Adepticon, and obviously there'll be an FAQ coming, but do you think we'll actually get a full set of beta rules again? Well, I'll actually say, here are some rules from looking at the 2 big tournaments, LVO and Adepticon, that we want to introduce as a result.
Beta rules.
Pronunciation.
Beta. I'm just messing with you, obviously. I don't think we did, but we might have. So I'll have to look into that.
I'm not saying did they have them at that, but do you think we'll get any in the aftermath?
Probably not. I want to say.
Fair enough. And just from White Dwarf, Genes Through the Cult gangs are in Necromunda now, which was last month, but Chaos Cult are coming as well.
Yay, I can finally use my Gene Stealer Cult in something.
And Chaos too, so what have they got? This means absolutely nothing to me. I'd like to say they can do rituals, which is a thing. Someone who knows Necromunda can tell if that's a good thing or not.
I don't honestly know anybody that plays Necromunda.
Sadly, neither do I.
I don't want to say it's a failed game.
Because it's not.
Because it kind of is, though.
Well, Shadow War Armageddon was a fail, and because it was completely, well, one, it wasn't amazing out the gate, and they left it completely unsupported. It was put out, and then it was just left to die. Necromunda, they're not just letting it die, so obviously it's getting some support. Therefore, it must be getting some response from the community, because people are still buying into it.
I guess, but at the same time, I only see people buying into it for conversion purposes. Kind of like how everybody right now who plays Chaos is buying Marathi. It's like, that's an awesome Keeper of Secrets.
Yeah, between Marathi, the Melisai, the Kinnerai, there's a lot in Daughters of Cain. And with the Ideneth giving you, like, Eel Cavalry, which could be some fun conversions for Seekers. And then you've got the giant flying Doom Turtle, because of course you do. Yeah, I could go on and on about the Ideneth, but I'm not going to. Yeah, it's a fun time for Chaos players to do some funky conversions, I suppose.
I mean, I'm turning my Marathi into... I'm actually going to keep her looking like Marathi. I'm not doing the Fulcrum conversion, although I did see a really nice one.
Yeah, I think I did.
I'm not going to do that conversion because I really don't think it's necessary. Mostly because you need a Magnus and a Marathi, and that's already $280.
Yeah.
But I am going to have her changing up her hair because I'm going to add hair to her because I just don't like her head at all. And I'm going to put one of my Trigons around her midsection so that she's fighting that.
Okay, that sounds...
It's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool because she's going to be wrapped around the Trigon that's going to be wrapped around her.
Okay. I'll leave that one up to you.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing I'm really good at is conversions.
And assault-inducing army lists.
I don't intend to. I don't. I am so used to playing a hardened group that...
I'm not having a go. I'm just messing with you, same as you do.
I know, but I'm still... yeah.
And finally, I suppose, with a little bit of news, Valdor is out. I believe.
These rules are terrible.
What?
He's actually completely forgettable.
I can't say I paid much attention to his rules when I was reading book 7. I was kind of too busy looking at the Thousand Suns, but fair enough. Still think his model's overdone.
Well, yeah, it's the Imperium. Every model is overdone.
No,
Hey,
but
what do we put on this giant golden suit of armor? I don't know. Giant wolf? Yeah, that sounds awesome.
yeah, but this model is super overdone.
How do we actually put the giant wolf on its armor? It would just fall off. What if we tie a bunch of ropes around it? Oh, okay. Well, we can't just have ropes on his armor. We have to hang things from those ropes on his armor. Oh, I know. Let's put a whole bunch of wind chimes on it. That way you can hear them coming from a mile away. Yeah, those wind chimes are nice, but what if we put bigger ones on them? And then put fur on those bigger ones, and then ropes on the fur to hold it to its armor? Now you're thinking. Do you think we overdid this model a little bit? Nah.
Yeah, Valdor is definitely one of those that, what was the phrase Jervis used to use? Of murdering your darlings, just like making something you love and then just killing it and starting again. it just needs reworking, maybe even from the ground up.
I am unsure. I apologize.
No, it's just I always remember that article because Standard Bearer used to be a thing in White Dwarf years and years and years ago now, and it was always fun columns from Jervis about different things. That one just, I don't know why that one stuck with me. I think was it Blood Bowl that went through that process? I think Blood Bowl and Lilith he talked about in that article, and other things. That article just stuck with me.
Also, Remlaze is here.
Yes.
It's been relatively quiet.
Yeah, apologies for just talking over and not really stopping.
No, that's fine.
So, is there anything that you've come across in your reading because you've never stopped reading?
Well, I found out it's confirmed that human souls can enter soul stones. And not only that, an Eldar that's in the soul stone can suck the human soul into it and then transport its own soul into the human body to take possession of it.
What?
Huh.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Neat! Eldar poop is dangerous.
Possession?
Yep. In fairness, the soul was of a Farsiers, so...
Okay, if it's Psyche, I was thinking it had to be a Psyche that did it, surely.
Well, they're all Psychers in that race, though, aren't they?
No,
Yes.
A powerful one, then. Sorry. Well, saying every Eldari is a Psyche is kind of like saying every Orc's a Psyche, though. Like, they all have quite interesting psychic ability.
True.
Yeah, but the Eldar in Path of the Ranger or the Pathfinder book, whichever, they actually communicate to each other psychically. Like, they literally only talk in psychic. It's kind of cool. They like mind talk to each other. It's neat.
Fair enough, that's...
I actually do like the Eldar, though. I've read a couple of their books. I love the Path series.
Yeah, they're interesting books that I've never really been that fussed to go and properly read up on them, either because, I don't know, it was either not loads out or I wasn't buying books at the time, or they were on Drukhari and they would usually creep me out.
I love the Drukhari books.
The Drukhari books, I almost think, as much as I was saying earlier, I kind of want a Drukhari army. I almost don't want to try and homebrew it because, dear God, I just don't want to do the reading. Actually, no, I'm wrong. I've done the reading and it creeps me the hell out.
Oh, I love them, though. They're so masochistic. What the Eldar properly should be.
Yeah. The funny thing is, when they describe the Cabals in the article this week, they describe them as part military, part noble house, part crime family. And the moment they said that, part of me just started imagining them like the bloody Mafia, with like the Archons smoking cigars and splinter rifle Tommy guns.
So does this mean that Asdrubal Vect is Marlon Brando?
Yes. This is confirmed. This is canon now.
I almost kind of wanted to do a conversion, like giving the splinter rifles all like Tommy guns, and they've got like not suits, but I don't know. It just sounded really hilarious when I thought about it.
Just paint their armor in pinstripe.
There you go.
Yeah, you can just imagine that. Yeah, what am I thinking of?
The Cabal of the Decapitated Horse.
I'm trying to
Go
come up with
after a Rough Rider.
I
wish I could come up
guess
with a
you're
good
not
way
getting
to-
the reference, but never mind.
Afraid not. I'm trying to find a way to sneak in and
Godfather.
say hello to my little friend, but I can't sneak it in.
I'm just disappointed
Scarface.
that you've not. How the fuck did you confuse the Godfather with Scarface?
No, I was saying your reference of the cut off head was from Godfather.
Yes, and
The reference that Michael just made is from Scarface.
Right.
Yes.
I didn't confuse those. I know my movies. Yeah. Anyway.
But yes, I think that is broad strokes the news, because obviously we could go diving into every little nitpick and detail from Adepticon, and there's obviously a lot to discuss about the various armies that have come out, but it's a little early to say how the Necrons are going to shape up. The Drukhari aren't out yet, so it's hard to say. The Tau came out a bit ago, Forgebane came out a bit ago, so we're kind of in a bit of an odd period for discussion.
Yeah, pretty much.
Although the question I would pose is, once we get Death Watch or Harlequin, whichever is last, what will follow that? Because what's left to do? There's GC the Cults, Orcs, Space Wolves,
Sisters, more
Not gonna be
sisters.
they're not going to be coming for ages. We know that. I'm trying to think about what's
Agents.
agents. Yeah, Imperial agents. That'll be. Yeah, I think that'll be it. There's only 3 of the main armies aside from Sisters that I can think of that are left to do.
Inquisition, which will be Imperial agents. It is not much. Let me just double check really quickly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to run down the list of the front of the indices to try and think, have I covered everything that's on there?
The Blood Angels got theirs.
Yep.
Dark Angels got theirs. Death Watch is getting theirs. Grey Knights have gotten theirs. Space Wolves, Astra Militarum, Adeptus Ministorum still needs to get theirs.
But that's
Custodians got theirs. Sisters of Silence did not. Adeptus Mechanicus did. Inquisition is going to be an agent. Imperial Knights are going to. Official Assassinorum is going to be an Imperial Agents. Chaos Space Marines already got theirs. Death Guard got theirs. Thousand Sons got theirs. Renegade Knights are going to probably be in a Heretic and Astartes book, similar to that of Imperial Agents. Chaos Demons got theirs. Craftworld Eldar got theirs. Well, Craftworld Aeldari got theirs. Drukhari have theirs. Harlequins just got theirs. Yunari is probably not going to get a book.
they'll get something because they have to patch their rules up, but...
Orcs are in need of theirs. Necrons just got theirs. Tau Empire got theirs. Tyranids got theirs. GC the Cult needs to get theirs.
Yeah, so they're nearly there. They'll definitely they could have them done in 3 to 5 months quite easily.
Yep.
And at that point, what the heck do they do? So it'd be interesting because obviously since 8th edition came out, it's just been rulebook, codex, chapter approved, codex, and then all the codex is going to be done. Then what?
Campaign books.
Yeah.
True. But they
I
can
mean,
only do
campaign
those-
books only make sense.
Yeah, but they've got to space those out because Malimportance in Age of Sigmar has had about a 2-month runtime, and they've just finished off the global campaign for it this week. They can only release those so often because people just get tired of them.
Maybe.
So interesting to see what the release schedule looks like in the aftermath.
Schedule.
Yes, it's a wonderful thing. You should try it sometime.
Schedule? You mean that thing that I have planned for the next 3 weeks?
That's a nice change.
I've been scheduling quite a bit.
3 weeks. Amateur.
I mean, I should be about 6 weeks ahead, but then I got knocked through a bit of a loop by resets and stuff, so I'm not behind, but I'm not as far ahead as I'd like to be.
I'm about 3 months.
You two are ridiculous.
Yeah, it must be quite annoying sometimes, Brian, if you've made a video 3 months out, and then it gets completely reworked. There's a new release, and you go, shit, I've got to remake that now.
Yep. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I think I get best award for most annoying release timing ever, when my Ultramarines video came out the day after Guilliman got leaked.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
See, this is why I don't need to worry about that stuff. Because I don't plan. Well, I do most of my stuff live and winging it for the most part, picking topics and going from there.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a series that does that, but it's not everything.
I had a channel that does that.
True enough. So is there anything else to add from either news or just observations of things we've come across, whether old or new?
The one thing I just want to say really quickly to everybody that attended Adepticon and actually got to see me in public and, you know, was a fan of mine, I give you guys hugs. You guys are awesome. Keep being awesome. That's just random.
Anything else you've come across, Remilies?
Not really, no.
Fair enough. So, questions?
Yes. So, first question. If the Horus Heresy never happened, and the Emperor got rid of the Primarchs later on, how would he have dealt with the Nids, the Beast, etc.? When regards to the Beast, I reckon the Emperor would just come to him and punched him.
Well, remember, there's 6 beasts.
The main
But
one,
still.
the one that Vulcan fought, I think, in that regard.
That was just the last one.
I know, but still, my point still stands.
Yeah, I mean, he would have had the entire Imperial Navy and everything at his command versus the Imperial command. So they would have been in better hands from a Navy perspective. They would have been able to take down the attack moons knowing their strategic weaknesses because of the Emperor's divine gifts.
Not to mention the High Lords of Terror bickering amongst themselves.
I wonder if the Sororitas would have been a thing.
No,
like as an organization.
Like, no.
Okay, I won't finish my point.
Well, not in N32, anyway. I don't think. Why? Because the whole purpose of the Sororitas is to
I don't even get to attempt to talk about my point. Cool. All right, let's move on.
No, go for it. Sorry.
No, you already cut off. It's done.
The Sororitas, as they would be today, as they are today, could not exist because Emperor Divinity thing. But something like the Sister Silence would have probably taken that role. Maybe, don't know. But yeah, like how would the Emperor have dealt? Well, actually, that was the whole argument with the Great Crusade being rushed, wasn't it? It was the Emperor Nid thing. Like maybe he was rushing to get ready for something. We don't know.
Also, bearing in mind that War of the Beast was M32 and the Sororitas weren't founded until M36. So
yeah, but the general point though. But yes, anyway, it's interesting though that the Horus Heresy is such an interesting place for theory crafting, but it's such a hard thing to get theory craft around because it's such a huge thing and such a defining thing. Trying to work out what might have been, where done differently, is just nigh on impossible.
Okay. Is it possible that the Elder Gods are still alive inside Slaanesh and could possibly be freed, similar to the Greek myth where Kronos ate most of his children, but they lived and were later disgorged from his stomach by Zeus?
Action. Well, that depends on how they treat the Aeldari, and forgive me for making an Age of Sigmar reference, but compared to how they treat the elves, because at the end of the fantasy world, Slaanesh consumed the elven race, because apparently same treatment for both species, whatever. But it was in the process of consuming them when Marathi broke free, and they're in the process now of rescuing what souls they can that haven't been consumed or tortured beyond all recognition. So if the Eldar gods were consumed by Slaanesh, and there's a chance they could still be there, but Slaanesh was consuming the elven souls a bit at a time as it went along in the AOS plot, so it might have now had chance over 10,000 years to finish off the Eldar gods. I don't know.
I would say yes, considering nothing in 40k is written in stone.
Okay. Is it possible for a person who isn't an orc to lead an orc warband? Or would the orcs gang up on them and kill them before, even if that person proved themselves to be stronger than the original war boss?
There is actually a kit from 7th edition that included a Imperial Guard commissar that was exiled that comes with a box of knobs that follow him.
Was there?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
It's a really hard kit to find. I've been looking for it forever.
Do you know the guy's name?
Nope. But I remember the kit.
Well, if that were the case, then there would be a logic of, well, the Orc logic is always green is best. That's always been the Orc mindset. It's such a catchphrase for them. It would take a Yarrick level individual in almost any case, I think. That kit sounds really interesting. I'd like to know quite how they pulled that off. But to convince an entire tribe and then fight everyone who thought they knew better off, it would take someone on Yarrick's level for the most part.
I wouldn't say Yarrick's level. Any warrior that can actually prove himself to the Orcs, similar to that of the Digonobs, they were slightly respected.
No,
but
they
respected
weren't.
versus
The Digonobs were treated as vermin, and the Orcs just found weird for aping Orc culture. They were like, that's just weird.
yeah, like I said, respected.
That's not respected. That's looked down upon. And the only reason the Mechs did any business with them was because the diggers paid.
Diggers got teeth. There's a joke in there. Anyway.
When a mortal champion of chaos becomes a demon prince, how much of their old personality remains?
Depends how strong they are.
Yeah, basically, if your personality is pathetic, you end up as a spawn. To become a demon prince, you need an incredibly strong will and personality in the first place.
Actually, if you're too corrupted by chaos, you become a spawn.
Yeah, that too. That's another condition. I do know that like weakness of will is another condition for spawndom.
If you look at the Trice Possessed, for instance, she was able to keep her entire personality.
Yeah, and obviously the demon Primarchs are still them.
For the most part.
Yes, for the most part. That's true.
I mean, Magnus is a bit weaker willed than he used to be. Mortarion is...
Magnus is soul shattered.
Yeah, Mortarion is...
The same. Grumpy as ever.
She is just a poorly written character.
Yeah, I've definitely gone off Mortarion.
Still view him as the weakest of the Primarchs.
I just find it funny that he's lower on the totem pole than Typhon.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
You could argue in some ways that given the amount that Khan has contributed, maybe there's an argument that Angron is below Khan. Maybe not as a commander, but as a champion.
Khorne? Or Kharn the Betrayer?
Khan in Khorne's rankings.
Oh, so Kharn the Betrayer.
Yes. Who else was I going to be talking about?
I mean, well, you said Khan. That could be Jagatai Khan, and I'm just like, wait, what?
I was going to say for Khorne?
And it does make sense. Although Slaanesh has her arms around him.
But yeah, there's a chance that Khan could be Khan the Betrayer, to be completely clear, could be seen above Angron as a champion, if not as a general. Maybe.
I mean, he's just a mortal champion. That's it. Oh, he's nigh immortal, but still.
Yeah, true enough.
Some of his new lore needs to be rewritten.
Next question. Question for Alexis.
Ooh.
In the novel Shroud of Night, is it possible that Khan himself was not himself and goes on a killing rampage because he really wanted a Klondike bar?
Actually, I've had a theory about Kharn the Betrayer for quite a while, that Kharn is actually more of a tool of Tzeentch than Khorne. And it's mostly due to that red mist being a type of magic that can bring him anywhere. But that's just my theory. So yeah, we can stop with the joke question.
Just to clarify, Klondike is a Snickers, right? Because we'd say Snickers.
It's a Klondike bar. It's still a Klondike bar.
It's just we have adverts over here in Britain.
It's an inferior Snickers bar, yes.
Yeah, we just have there's an advert over here which is you're not you when you're hungry, eat a Snickers. So I didn't know if it was just...
That's the same here. That's so silly. A Klondike bar is a Klondike bar.
We don't have them.
How do you not have them? They're yummy delicious.
Because we have good chocolate over here.
Well, it's actually more of an ice cream, but yeah.
Right.
You know what? Just move on.
A lot of people assume that the Tau auxiliary races are treated better by the Farsight Enclaves, that their caste system isn't as strict, etc. Are these things actually true?
The cast...
I have yet to see anything that says yes to that.
The cast thing, no. Farsight is a Firecast purist. The caste system, I reckon, is as strong in the Enclaves as it is anywhere else. As for the treatment of the auxiliaries, I cannot say. There's been no confirmed evidence of how the Kroot or the Vespid or perhaps Gavesa, if they have any, are treated in the Farsight Enclaves. There is no flat-out statement of the fact.
The only thing I know about Farsight and the Kroot themselves is that he doesn't want them operated on because he doesn't want to lose them as an ally.
Yeah, and you could also say, though, that they can't be being treated like absolute crap compared to the Empire, because particularly in the Kroot's case, they could just leave and go back.
If the Kroot understand the difference between the Farsight and the regular ones.
I think they're not stupid. I think they know the difference.
They're not stupid, but a lot of people just assume they are.
Yeah, because they choose to live a primitive lifestyle, even though they're capable of, making warp-capable ships.
Yes, that can also land.
I still find that to be the funniest thing ever. We have bows and arrows in a spaceship. Wait, what? Welcome to 40K.
It's not much cheaper than that Space Wolf, attacking, Prospero with a wooden shield.
In all fairness, there was probably a micro generator or a force shield behind it.
In a wooden shield.
Point.
Yes.
Beside the point.
I mean, you know how small shields, force fields can be in Dark Heresy, right? They're literally tiny. I can wear one as a necklace.
But still.
Then why not wear it as a necklace? And why carry a fucking shield? Why not just replace it with a second axe?
Well, you see, because traditionalism and artists. And also, I can see the Space Wolves being just that idiotic.
Yeah.
Not enough Kraken.
All right, let's see.
Fun.
I got my power axe ready. I got my bolt pistol on my side with exploding rounds in it that burrow through armor. I have my power armor that can literally survive a nuclear explosion. It can't. I'm just making a point. And, oh yeah, my wooden shield. I would never go to battle without this. And you just see, the freaking Wolf Lord looking at him. Dude, why do you have a wooden shield? Why don't you? Oh, that's a good point.
I think I saw somewhere... Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say the conversation would be more like, why do you have a wooden shield? I don't know, I'm very drunk right now.
Ah! I saw something I think it was in the comments of the last episode, which was something like, why do you rag on X? I think it was the Emperor's Children in the comment, though I think I could also apply it to the Space Wolves, because we do rag on the Space Wolves really hard.
I love the Space Wolves. They're awesome.
But we rag on them really hard.
Yeah, because they're stupid as hell.
You rag on
It's not our fault. It's not our fault that they're just ridiculous space Vikings that make legit no sense.
Now we just need space Celts. Right, anyway, moving on. Sigvald the Magnificent versus Lucius the Eternal without the ability to possess. Who would win? Sigvald.
Probably, as long as Sigvald wasn't distracted, yes.
Considering Lucius always gets his ass handed to him, I'm going Sigvald regardless.
Yeah, when was the last time Lucius won? Genuinely, when was the last time he won without dying?
Yeah, I can't name it.
That says everything you need to know.
This is why I say Mariel Sabathiel is the better chosen of Slaanesh. She's actually done successful crusades.
Fabius Baal's a better champion of Slaanesh.
Yeah, without a doubt. Too bad he rejects the gods.
Well, yeah, he's an atheist.
He's an idiot.
He looked upon the face of the Chaos Gods directly and just went, "Nah, you're not real."
Actually, has he looked at the face of Slaanesh? Because anybody who looks at Slaanesh falls to Slaanesh.
He looked on the face of all 4 Chaos Gods at the same time, and he just went, "Yeah, you're not real."
You're not even real. You don't know. I'm gonna go clone the Primarchs now. Yeah, sure, you do that, champ.
Right. Next question. Do you think Chaos Knights will actually get a codex and access to other units like the Armiger, or will they remain single, more customizable index unit?
Single index units. I cannot see them going anywhere beyond that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think there'll come a point where they'll not want people to use the indices, period. They'll want the indices to be retired as stand-in rules as they were.
Nah, as a store, they would want people to keep using them. As a business. Here, buy this book. And if they did that, that would just be a real dick move onto every supplier that had to buy their books.
Is taking the claws of gene stealers after killing them a thing in order to use them as killer gloves, for example?
Taking trophies and making them into power weapons is something very, very, very common in the Imperial Guard.
And now I'm imagining Deathclaw gauntlets.
Yep.
That is the first thing that came to my mind.
Gene Stealer Power Fist.
Like, what's the point? Because like the Power Fist generates such a powerful energy field that what's the point of just having an extra stabby bit on the end of it that isn't also encased in said power field like a lightning claw?
Or maybe it encompasses the claws, I don't know.
You can actually encompass the claws as well. You guys really got to read the RP books.
Could the Eldar be silicon-based life forms?
Yes. They're literally crystal people.
Was each Thunder Warrior just a Hulk?
No, there were, think of the Primaris Space Marines just pissed off.
Not a terrible analogy.
I was going to say, which Hulk are they talking about? The Incredible Hulk? Hulk Hogan? I can imagine being an entire army of Hulk Hogans. That would be amusing.
And then you put them in a chapel, and the chapel's the size of Rhode Island.
It's all marching to battle school screaming, "What you gonna do when the Emperor runs wild on you?"
What, lumbering idiots who just... Yeah, let's not go there.
Who just pose and do the leg drop and they don't sell for anyone. They're not doing the job in front of 20,000 people, brother. Anyway.
That wasn't even my reference.
I know.
That was ridiculous.
Question for Alexis. Do any tournaments have rules preventing the use of kit-bashed models or models with parts that aren't GW?
Yes, the Warhammer World Opens do. And most Warhammer, most GW events. Like strict GW events.
I'd argue that if it's kit bash from other GW kits but is WYSIWYG, I think that should be allowed.
Oh, that's perfectly fine, but this question is more related to third-party stuff. And I can almost guarantee that's what the person meant.
Right. Given that you've all said that no more Primarchs should be released, what do you
say to that?
I've never said that. But anyway.
What do you say to those who still have living Primarchs somewhat on the back? Well, considering the only confirmed living loyalist Primarch is Lion, and he's sleeping.
What I would say is the reason that we don't want too many of them, but how do I put this?
It makes Guilliman less special. As in,
yeah.
I'm not being facetious when I say that, because let's be honest, Guilliman's return was kind of a huge fucking deal. It's like, holy shit, a Primarch's back, 10,000 years later. That's a big deal.
I know we got Magnus first, but
the Demon Primarchs have always been coming back.
Yeah, they've always just been in the background. They've just been there.
Well, I can't remember which one of our guests said this. I want to say it was never mind. I'm not going to take a guess because I'm going to say it wrong. But the 40k era was supposed to be the age of new heroes versus the Horus Heresy, which is the age of the Primarchs. But that's since been being changed, and I can almost guarantee we will see more living loyalist Primarchs, mostly because of the successful sales of Guilliman and the Imperial armies. It would only make sense to bring back the two most popular of the Primarchs, which would be arguably Sanguinius
Please no.
and Lionel Johnson.
Please fucking no.
And considering the Dark Eldar have talked about him and have a crystal shrine of him, we might see him back.
Dark Eldar? Having a
It's either the Eldar or the Dark Eldar have a crystallized shrine of him or something.
Of who? Sanguinius or Lion?
Sanguinius. Can't remember who has it exactly, but I know that
I know there's a crystallized Sanguinius on the Vengeful Spirit.
There you go. That's where it is. Sorry, my bad.
But how's he going to come back when his soul's bound to the ship?
Yeah, he's a Primarch.
What I would say
literally all the explanation I need to say.
What I would say is, like, I'm not against more Primarchs coming back. I'm against too many. Like, I think about three per side, maybe one extra on the traitor side is enough, because otherwise, if you're not an Imperium army and you're not a Chaos army, you have literally just been given the middle finger. Because whoop-de-doo, a 200-point mid-tier pseudo beat stick versus a massive army buffer, a psychic powerhouse, and or a colossal beat stick who looks like he walked out of the best design studio there ever was, which GW's is suddenly up there with them, and is just on a completely different level. If they are
completely underestimating Gazgul, by the way.
I know I'm underestimating him, but he does not stand a chance in a fight with Magnus, Guilliman, and Mort. He just doesn't. I'm sorry.
I mean,
he just doesn't.
Considering that Yarrick can hold his own with Gazgul.
You're talking lore. Tabletop-wise, Gazgul can kill him. Abaddon kills the Primarchs mad easy. Yeah. Just buffing those units would be more than enough to do it.
Yes, but it's not the same. Like, Gazgul's been around in the game since second. Abaddon's been around at least as long.
Yeah.
So those guys are just like long-running established guys, and like unless you want to turn Gazgul into like on a Prime Orc and make him the like almost demigod. Yeah, like the beast, like an actual demigod of the orcs. He's not on the same level in terms of lore power and Star Wars.
Again, you're talking lore versus tabletop. Tabletop doesn't care about lore. It cares only about balance.
I know, but having a tabletop beat stick is one thing. That's fine. Give every army a tabletop beat stick if you have to. But if you like, orcs can potentially make Gazgul like that, but he's not the same. You say the name Robert Guilliman to somebody, they're going to know instantly that person is one of the biggest names in 40k.
You say Gazgul to somebody, somebody's going to have the same exact reaction. You say Abaddon to somebody, they're going to have the same reaction because they're established heroes. You say Dante to somebody, they're going to have the same reaction.
But they're not on the same tier. They are huge names, yeah, but they're not on the same. They're not on their level. The Primarchs are just on another level of fame, renown, and power. Even if it's not reflected on the tabletop, they are just on another level. And unless you give the other armies in Xenos especially something like that, then you've effectively shafted potentially up to a third of your fan base.
Considering that from a lore perspective as well, when Vulcan, who was, arguably the physically strongest Primarch, was barely holding his own against the Beast, and then you got Gazgul, who's nowhere near as powerful as the Beast, going up against Guilliman, lore-wise, Gazgul's not going to have a chance against Guilliman, let's be honest.
Yeah, you wouldn't get within half a mile of bloody Magnus. Probably wouldn't even get half a star system of Magnus. And Mortarion, different again. Mortarion's a bit of a mixed bag, but...
I would actually argue that he can. Teleportation. Unreliable, but still there. And Ghazghkull has the favor of a god. Well, two gods.
So does Magnus.
Yeah, but the Orc gods are much more powerful than the Tzeentchian gods. Well, Tzeentch.
And Gork and Orc are generally busy kicking the crap out of each other.
Like,
But if they're taking time talking to Ghazghkull, I'm going to say that Ghazghkull will eventually become the one thing that can stop the Imperium at large.
I don't know. I'm saying this as an Orc player. I don't regard Ghazghkull as on the same level as the Primarchs. I just don't. The characters I think of like that are your Silent Kings. Like, if the Silent King came back, that's different because he's a big name from the past.
The Silent King is the almost completely unknown character to most tabletop players.
But from a lore perspective, he's also one of the most important.
Yeah, he's huge.
And so is Ghazghkull.
I wouldn't even put Ghazghkull on Cesarek's level. Like, Ghazghkull has started a lot of wars and nearly collapsed some very important worlds. I'll give you that. But Cesarek overthrew two massively powerful races. Alongside the Catan, they overthrew the old ones, and then they overthrew the Catan. No, that's on another level to me.
Here's a completely valid point. Who are they?
They being
any of those people.
The old ones in the Catan, literal gods.
Okay, so completely irrelevant to the tabletop game.
But we're not trying to talk.
No, I am arguing the tabletop game. I am arguing tabletop balance. I'm not talking about lore in this case. You guys keep bringing it back to lore because you don't play at a competitive level. I see Ghazghkull and I see Guilliman. I know Ghazghkull is going to kill Guilliman 9 times out of 10. I know Ghazghkull is going to teleport across the table and punch Guilliman in the face and kill him. I know Abaddon is going to deep strike, do the exact same thing.
In fairness, though, in tabletop, you throw enough grots at Guilliman, eventually one's going to kill him.
Debatable, but yes.
I get what you're saying about like the tabletop, but you've also got to think about the models as well. Like, if you give Chaos, let's say, 7 demigod lords of war, 7, because that's how many are alive. 7 massive, super powerful characters to pick from, whereas the other races get maybe 1. At best. That's maybe a consideration you can make as a collector. Why would you collect an army that has one decently modelled hero, like Ghazghkull if they redid him, versus the 7 traitor Primarchs?
I can argue this. 7 traitor Primarchs aren't as cool looking as the Orcs. Hands down. The traitor Primarchs are neat looking, and that's cool and everything, but 2/3 of players that you're going to run into are still going to play Space Marines. Space Marines are the top-selling army, even considering Chaos, Eldar, Necrons, and every single other race.
Okay, let's flip it to the Loyalist Primarchs then. Same argument.
Same argument. Blood Angels are one of the most popular characters. Bringing back Sanguinius would only buff sales.
Which is not helpful, because then that just homogenizes the entire thing. It is helpful.
It's a business. I know you don't want to look at it like this, but it is a business. They are in it for money. I mean, hell, our last guest made that blatantly obvious.
Which is why we have the Forge World Primarchs. If you want to get Sanguinius, they'll sell it for like
no
£100.
one plays 30k. 30k is only played at events. It's barely played outside of that. It's actually dying quite hard. And I hate to admit that because 30k is so good.
Okay, so if you're a collector then, if you're a collector,
collectors don't make up the bulk of this hobby.
Doesn't invalidate the argument, but yes, fair point. Okay, well, obviously you're not going to agree on this because we all have different views. Let's move on before we take any more time. Let's move on because it's obvious we don't agree, but that's fine. So there you go. That shows just exactly why the returning Primarchs is such an interesting issue.
From a sales perspective, it only makes sense.
Seeing as how Fabius Bar has shown multiple times that he can perfectly clone Primarchs, If he were to hypothetically create perfect clones of all the traitor Primarchs living and dead, and they banded together to try and return to the Imperium, which ones do you think would have the best chance of being accepted back into the fold?
Alfarius at best. Otherwise, probably absolutely none of them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if they said, hey, I'm coming back, there's not much that can stop them.
Let's say you're Gilliman, and suddenly you get someone who turns up claiming to be a clone of your long dead / long traitorous brother. Are you going to just accept that? And say
it's more or less you don't have the choice of accepting it or not. If a Primarch comes back, they're ungodly powerful in the lore. I mean, hell, somebody caught a las cannon.
And then you'll get something akin to the War of the False Primarch.
Exactly, and it would be a really, really cool endeavor, and we'd get a lot of renegades out of it. And one really happy Fabius.
But at the same time, if, say, a clone of Horus decides to stroll up, towards Gilliman's house, and you're like, hello, I'd like to come back to the Imperium, Gilliman will probably just put on the Hand of Dominion and just punch him in the face.
Oh, without a doubt. It'd be really interesting to see that whole play out.
Yeah, I think in trying to answer the actual question, the answer is absolutely bloody none of them. What would actually happen is far more interesting.
Renegades and shit like that would actually be the most likely of events. Although it would be cool to see Fulgrim come back and fight Fulgrim.
If he gets out of Dresden's museum.
Which, considering the Solemnace is mobilized...
Indeed.
But this is 40k. Anything can happen at any moment.
If you could add one vehicle out of the fluff that doesn't exist in Tabletop, what would it be?
Probably the Flying Land Raiders, the Crawler, a lot of the vehicles from Dark Heresy books, the cities that literally crawl along the desert floors. There's a shit ton of vehicles I would.
Looted wagons need to come back. That goes without saying.
Gene Stealer limousines need to come back. And yes, that was a thing.
Yes, yeah. Looted wagons don't need a model. They just need a set of rules that allow you to convert them. Just why weren't they in chapter approved? God damn it.
No idea.
Because they put Land Raiders in there. Everybody loves Land Raiders, as I'm sitting here painting a Land Raider and have 6 more.
Right. Do you think the Emperor prefers Coke or Pepsi?
Skip.
Pepsi
I was
without
going to say Coca-Cola. No, Coca-Cola.
Heretic.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why.
Skip.
Since the Blood Ravens have some Primaris Marine reinforcements, what gene line are they from?
Probably the original donor. And it was probably tested by a blood test, which Space Marine chapters tend to forget to do. Especially when throwing in dangerous organs into an untested body and watching them get rejected. Although at least 2 chapters is smart, the Dark Angels and the Blood Angels know how to do a proper blood test.
Indeed. Right.
Rejection numbers wouldn't be so high if they weren't stupid.
Question for me. If you could redesign or design a new miniature, who or what would it be? There's too many to count, but shortlist. We need redesigns for Abaddon, Fabius, Dante, Azrael, Ragnar Blackmane, just to name a few.
I like how I have almost all of those miniatures.
They've been the same models since 1993, give or take.
Azrael's isn't too bad. Abaddon's is atrocious. I think everybody can agree with that one.
It was cool for the time, but now it's just weedy. It needs to be bulked up.
Dante's, I could argue, needs a bit of a bulk up, but he's not terrible. I kind of like him.
Right. When are you having ADB or Dan Abnett on the podcast? We'll get ADB
when he answers my damn messages.
Yes. You can always ask Alpha. They're best friends. And you're in the same Discord as him, so there's no excuse. Anyway.
Yeah, there is. I'm shy.
For God's sake. Do you believe that the Legion of the Damned are the fallen of the major battles of the heresy like Istvan and Prospero?
I think they're the major... I think they're just dead Space Marines in general.
Probably some of them
No is
are.
my answer.
It's probably some of them are. All of them,
I mean, hell,
no.
in what?
Master of Mankind.
Thank you. They literally were.
Yes, but there was also the Burning Ferrus Manus as well, which still had a head somehow.
Well, I mean, his soul would still have its head attached. Haven't you seen Star Wars?
I think a lot of whether you subscribe to what the Legion of the Damned are comes down to whether you subscribe to the Imperial Demon theory.
Indeed. Amongst the current Loyalist Marines, who is the most powerful Psyker? Varo Tigerius.
Mephiston would like a word, as would Ezekiel.
Tigerius managed to make contact with the Hive Mind and didn't go crazy or have his head explode.
Mephiston had a chat with Kabanda and didn't go insane or have his head explode, and has also faced off with the Hive Mind and not died.
And faced off against his own inner demons, i.e. the Black Rage and the Red Thirst, while being trapped in a building.
Yeah, and beat them. I mean, Ezekiel's an outside bet because he can do some utterly stupid shit, but he's not on those two's level. I don't know who would actually win out of Mephiston and Tigerius, but in terms of most bullshit things done, I think Mephiston takes it.
Yeah.
Mephiston also has an entire chapter of Sisters of Battle.
Tigerius managed to psychically mind link and blow up a Necron Lord that could summon storms.
Yeah, but the Necron's weapons are just stupid. Here's my weapon that can snuff out the sun. Cool, are you gonna ever use it against the Eldar? Nah.
Well, how are you gonna use it against the Eldar when their craft worlds can just fly to another system with a new sun?
Well, when you know where they are, you just detonate their sun and they die in a supernova. Don't really have to worry about that.
Webway.
They have to get into it.
Yeah, they can just do it instantly.
Also, I feel like we just had the equivalent of a psychic dick measure in context. Like, Tigerius can do this, but Mephiston can do this, but Tigerius can do this. It's just like a my dad is better than your dad competition.
And isn't that what the Horus Heresy was?
A
dick measuring contest of people who have daddy issues?
It was just demons and daddy issues.
Greatest subtitle ever.
Terrible name for a D&D campaign.
Right. Since Sisters of Silence can have children and Custodians can retire, is it possible for the two to start a family?
That depends if Custodians are sterile, and I believe they are. Or are they?
How would they be sterile? They're just
why
magic.
would they?
Yeah, they're just magic. And the Sisters of Silence having families proves that. So, yes.
I don't think we've ever had confirmation either way on the Custodians, because I don't think there's actually a particular part of the Spaceman implantation process that registers them as sterile. It just sort of happens. I forget what causes it.
It's literally the implantation into their neck that induces a shit ton of estrogen into their body, sterilizing them.
Right. But yeah, I can't see what the Custodians would be, but at the same time, I could also see them being sterile just to stop it. Because otherwise you end up diluting the Custodian, creating mini Custodians who are not directly tied to the Order, and that, if you recruit them, that diminishes the power of the Order.
That also implies that all of their traits are passed on. If they're all magicked in, they're not passed on.
But then, okay, fine. It's an interesting one. It's definitely an interesting one. I'm not sure.
I would say, yeah. I would say that they could bang. I mean, probably the Custodian has the sound mind to actually stay around a sister long enough to actually raise a family and want to be with her.
I reckon they can bang, but again, whether they can produce viable offspring is a different issue entirely. We won't know either way. Unless someone actually writes a novel.
I need your answer.
What?
This is what I will message ADB afterwards.
Okay. Of the species that the Nids have not used yet for the basis of a bioform, what would produce the most interesting unit? Oh, easy.
Well,
Pharaoh beasts, so they can actually, eat tanks.
I'd actually like to see what the Hive Fleet got from Catachan.
AIDS, probably.
Death. Much death. But
Well,
yeah,
considering the High Fleet was able to leave.
There's no statements of that ever happening. There's just a case of, Kazakhstan got invaded by a High Fleet, and then by the time... Oh, no, it didn't. It was a Void Whale, and then
It was
something.
demons, wasn't it? That turned up.
It was a Void Whale, and then demons, and Kazakhstan dealt with both. There's never been Tyranids around Kazakhstan.
The Caiaphas Cain books literally talk about Tyranids on Kazakhstan attacking him.
Yeah, but with how tongue-in-cheek the Caiaphas Cain novels are, the canonicity is arguably debatable.
Canon.
It's arguably debatable.
It depends on how they're written. They're his memoirs, aren't they? The Caiaphas Cain novels. They're like his memoirs.
There's literally an inquisitor that goes over it.
They kind of more like what was the term that was used? Like the propaganda magazines soldiers would get out in the field. It was kind of like that, written in the style of.
Yeah, but he literally described sword fighting a lictor. There's not much you can say about that.
Well, there's no High Fleet there, whatever it is.
I know there's orcs from Kazakhstan.
Not sure. Well, yes, because Zogwart.
Yeah. He somehow got there.
And then somehow got out.
Teleportation.
Well, he was a weird boy, so that's probably why.
Yeah, I love the Zogwart story of how he killed I think it was a company of Imperial Guard in a single shot. And it was like, and he lost his eye doing it. He's like, oh, I meant to do that. Mork was guiding it. It's fine. I was completely meant to lose my eye. I find Zogwart hilarious.
What is the best orc name you have ever come across, whether it be player created or in the fluff?
Hang on, I actually know this one.
I just came across a weird boy called Zogit from a planet called Zogdis.
That's actually funny, but the greatest orc name comes from my Battlefleet Gothic rival, and it is the legendary Mega Primarch Captain Jono Stuff Stealer, Ship Crusher, Head Crusher, Manhunter, Chrome Smasher, Loon Basher, Prince Basher, Digger Slasher, Grot Beater, Melter Masher, Git Stomper, Neck Ringer, Super Crazy, Never Lazy, Silent Kill, Saint Killer, God Splitter, Head Whopper, Kill Chopper, Big Doc, War Boss, Gold Tooth, the shockingly brutal Destroyer of Galaxies, Herald of Ragnarok, Fist of Mork, and Chosen of Gork.
And breathe.
Best orc name ever. And the other one that I have to give it to is The Filthy Casual. I don't think there's any way to follow that up.
No, so we'll leave that there.
Good idea.
Next question. What do we got?
A bunch of memes.
Well, yeah, that's common for us.
Such as, you put an Onaga gauntlet on a cold star, will it play One Punch Man every time it's used in close combat?
One Punch! I really like One Punch Man.
I think it's overrated.
I think Face is overrated. Dinosaur Skull. I like good anime.
Yeah, I bet you like Sword Art Online, don't you?
I've actually never watched it.
Yeah, it's shit.
Oh, I'll take your word on it because I've watched Dot Hack and I know it's basically just a ripoff of that.
Right. By your own ideas, should Zoran and the rest of the TTS voice actors and actresses set up Fiverr accounts?
That's completely up to them.
The fuck is a Fiverr account?
So they can be paid to do voice work within standards from fans or something.
I'm pretty sure they all do.
It's called Patreon. You could just give them a donation, support them on Patreon as an equivalent of commission. But it's completely up to the team. I'm not going to say whether they should or they shouldn't. It's their choice, their lives, their accounts, their money, their time.
I'm pretty sure all of them do.
And finally, do you think that some characters like Abaddon and Slaanesh have such a reputation that is never going to change?
Yes.
Yeah, to some extent. Like, Abaddon's reputation can be improved by making him do badass shit and actually be cool, but he's always going to have that stigma stuck with him. Same as Slaanesh will, same as the town will, same as...
I just wish people would actually read about Abaddon. He's kind of amazing. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, everyone just kind of sticks with the whole memes like, he's got no arms. Mm.
Well, that's because people on internet forums just get butthurt because they can't afford models.
But to be fair, it's not just that. It's also the fact that when a meme begins, it is very hard to shift a meme.
True.
Yes, what's the current flavour of the month? It's the Big Titty Towel Girlfriend's the current meme of the month, isn't it?
But don't even have breast tissue. Anyway.
Yes.
But, yeah.
Incidentally, sorry about April Fool's video. Yeah.
Oh God, what have you done? I don't want to know what you've done.
You would have seen it by the time this comes out anyway, so.
I know, but I still don't. It's the case. I'm sat here now hoping I don't see it, and then probably by the time this comes out, I'm going to be wishing I never had.
Well, I'm just
gonna
say this: the Yeti's involved.
Well, of course.
Well, yeah, duh.
The funniest thing is, you would think that I would have an April Fool's video, and I don't.
I'm probably going to stream, but that's all I'm going to do. It's just because I've got the Monday off because the uni's decided it's not going to do Good Friday because I had 8 hours of labs, but it's going to do Easter Monday.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, small perks. But yeah, going back to the question, like, I personally will probably never like Slaanesh because I've got opinions of it that even if I find stuff that makes it interesting are just too deep-rooted to shift. And that's going to be the same for some people with everything. Like, some people are always going to say Eldar are overpowered even if they were garbage tier this edition because they were so powerful for 5 years and they weren't bad before. People just like, oh, you're playing Eldar, the army's broken, don't care. Stop whining.
Actually, not really ran into that in like actual game stores.
I've seen it with Tau. Tau got nerfed into the floor in 8th edition, and everyone said, "Stop complaining, you butthurt Tau player. Your army was broken last edition. Shut the fuck up."
I mean, if people say that shit to you, you need to go to a better hobby store.
I've not had it said like. I know it's my friends say it sometimes in jest like, "You play Tau, stop complaining." But it's something. It's an attitude. It's like the point I'm trying to make is. Some attitudes towards armies or factions or individuals just don't shift ever. And even trying to get people to show people the other side of those attitudes, saying, hey, this character did some really badass stuff. Yeah, but lol, joked, this thing happened ages ago, therefore I'm not going to like them as a result. Like, it's like people...
I can understand that.
Yeah, I keep using the term, but it's Age of Sigmar gets the same shitty treatment. Like, it was bad when it came out. The system was effing broken to the point I could barely play it because it was just not fun to play when your opponent could put down a 20-wound super mega kill machine who could insta-kill everything and then resurrect them with a random wizard because they just could. Like, that was just utterly stupid and broken. But now... the game's great. It's got its problems, but so does 40k. In my opinion, the overprevalence of the Alpha Strike, even if there are now counters to it in some armies, is something I don't like about the game. There are things about AOS I don't like the double turn mechanic, but people will just say, oh, it was shit at the first impressions, that's it, I don't care, screw off. Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
And that's it for the questions.
Yeah, I suppose having a Brat library author on meant that a lot of the questions didn't really get through the same way.
Yes.
Bit of a shorter question segment. Yeah, I kind of just had a bit of a rant there, so I don't know how much more I need to add to that without just completely derailing things. So, does anyone else have anything that particularly caught that is worthy of a shout about?
I do
I
not.
just had a lot of fun playing a bunch of different skirmish games and a whole bunch of other things on my chat on Adepticon. I had a lot of fun there. The freaking 25 hours in a car was a little bit much, but overall it was really fun. If you guys are in the States, and I'm saying this to the audience as well as you guys, if you're ever in the States, you should definitely check out LVO, Adepticon, Nova. There's some of the bigger Warhammer conventions, and you will see things there that'll make you just go, wow, this hobby is amazing. Also, the people there are way different than anybody else on the forums. Like I said, people on forums just are always pissy butthurt people.
There's an element of that. And if you're in the UK, obviously, the biggest events will be the actual official open days for Warhammer World, the Horus Heresy Black Library. But
I got invited to them. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, I can imagine it was.
Yeah. I mean, $600 to get there and back, but then a hotel.
Ouch.
But it is something that I intend to do. I'm also going to be going to, if you guys haven't seen anything about this is from Miranda, Wargamer Girl. If you guys haven't checked out her content, you should. Saying this to both of you and the audience.
Yeah, she's been on the show before.
Yeah, she's amazing. You should definitely check out Valhalla. She has a GoFundMe page up. You should totally check it out. And I'll be at that as well. I can't wait. I want to get a bunch of games in. Oh, I'm excited.
Good to know. There was something I came across on the forums the other day. There was one about Tau, but we talked about Tau like their power level and stuff. What was the other one? Oh, I can't remember what it was. It was something that was quite intriguing to read, and I've completely forgotten what it was because it might have been something worth discussing. Unfortunately, I can't remember. If anyone has anything else to bring up, please do while I do and try and find this. This was it. There was a post. Someone was talking about the way how synergy is and how synergy works in 40k with combos, and like how they feel army building is kind of bland and almost stagnant because you just build your army one way. It's just like one net list. And I don't know how true that was at Adepticon. You'll have seen some of the armies, whereas I didn't.
There were a lot of cookie cutter armies. If you don't know the term, that's where people just net deck. Or net list, in this case. I'm so used to Magic the Gathering having that term. But there were a lot of very, very, very unique armies, especially going into the other types of tournaments, like the doubles tournaments. That was really freaking cool armies, really good combos that really played off of each other. And the vast majority of armies, like you can see this in my video where I've run through a bunch of it, you can see all the different styles of tournament lists. They all do share a very common
base.
Which is shooty, punch you in the face when you get close.
With psychic flavor, because almost every army needs it.
Actually, not too much anymore. The shield captains have greatly helped with that problem.
Okay, that's good to know. But yeah, I think doubles actually might be the most fun tournament format to introduce someone to the tournament scene. Because if you go into the solo queue, the main thing you're going to run into is, as you say, net lists, cookie cutter lists that just
you won't face those unless you're in the top tier. Like, let's face it, you're going into a tournament, you're going to face the locals.
Like if you go to a tournament, let's say that you went to LBO, you went to Adepticon. Yeah, okay, the top tables are going to be a bit more vanilla, quote unquote vanilla, in that they're all running similar things because that's how you get to the top tables. But I feel like in doubles, because there's not so much a defined meta, it's not like back in 6th where Taudar broke everything. I think doubles has got the most room for flavor and synergy and funky combos compared to singles, I would say.
I really think you need to go to some of these bigger events and check them out so you can get a first-hand experience at them.
Not the easiest thing to do, but something to consider.
Anyway, that's really it.
Yeah, I'm kind of out of things to add. Rem?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Rem fell asleep.
No, I'm still up.
So have you got anything else to add or comment
No.
on?
Nope.
All right, well, on that slightly awkward ending, that I suppose wraps this up. So thank you everybody for watching episode 41 of Adeptus Podcastus. It's been interesting discussing all the things that have come out and having our own little flavor of arguments along the way. So thank you very much for coming out, and make sure to leave your questions for next time in the comments below, as we know you always do like to do. And if anything does come out in the next 4 days, because that always seems to sort of happen when we sit down to record the podcast, like seriously, we record the podcast and then X thing gets announced, or we release the podcast, a day later, amazing thing gets announced. It's just like, for God's sake, could we get a little bit lucky, please? But yeah, it's been a good show, and I hope that you've all enjoyed it. So let us know what you think. And with that, thank you very much to Bremlis from 40k Theories.
No problem. Thank you very much.
And to Alexis, as always.
Yo, all right. Take care, everybody.
Yeah. See you again, guys. See you. Bye.